Welcome to Hope is Here. My name is Greg Horn, and we are continuing our talk with Lenroy Jones. Lenroy is a career coach who's got a passion for helping people close the gap between the job search and a satisfying career. He's been a longtime columnist for the Lexington Herald-Leader, and I would encourage you to look up some of those articles if you're in the process of a job search. Just look up by going online, Kentucky.com, and you just put in Lenroy Jones, Lenroy, and Jones, just like you would think, Jones, and you can find a lot of the great articles he's written over the past few years that have really helped a lot of people. But Lenroy, yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about how to handle a job loss emotionally and mentally. We want to talk today more about what are the positives when you lose a job and you have to look for a new job. But the one thing I did want to ask before we get started on today's topic is, for us that are friends, family, trying to support somebody that has suffered a job loss, especially when it's unexpected. What are some things that we can do as friends, family members, former coworkers? What can we do to help encourage those people that have suffered a job loss, especially when it's unexpected?
Great question, Greg, and it's great to be back with you again today. I think a couple of things that families can do is any type of job leads that person may have an interest in is sending that to that person, whether it's snail mail, in person, making sure they email them as long as the person has told them this is what I'm looking for. I think the other is not being judgmental, not looking for blame or reasons, and also don't add gasoline to the fire. It happened, and be a sounding board, but don't be one that kind of continues to keep it going in the conversation. The quicker the person can bring resolution to it and resolve it, that, hey, this has happened and it's time for me to move on, the better they're going to end up being. I think any type of resources, whether it's resources to redirect them to workforce development agencies, placement services, maybe they have a degree that they graduated from a university or a community college, that they redirect them back to the career centers that each of those institutions would have, or any other opportunities to get them networked in to individuals that could possibly lead to a full-time opportunity or something that could be part-time. But whatever you want to do is encourage them to get back into the job hunt, because the sooner they can get back into it, the sooner they're able to bounce back. But being a rock, being an encouragement, to me, that's going to be the biggest thing that they can do, and not being an enabler to keep them in that place and time. The other piece I would say too, because sometimes you can get, severely depressed in the area of grief of any sort, and job loss is no different. Keep in mind that your loved one, may, dip into depression, and that's when you want to make sure that you get them to, again, I mentioned this, the last time we spoke, some professional help. And there's also a national suicide prevention hotline that I want to share, which is 800-273-8255. Again, that's 800-273-8255, which is a national suicide prevention lifeline. And there's also local resources as well. And a lot of it is free, to be able to help your loved one through the process. But don't overlook this, one of the most overlooked emotions that people go through and experience. But thank you for asking that question as a follow-up from our last opportunity to have a conversation.
We're talking with Lenroy Jones, who is a career coach, has been doing this for many years, and really has a lot of wisdom. He's done a lot of great articles for the Herald-Leader. He's worked at some different universities, one being the University of Kentucky in their career services area. So he's currently working on a book. So he would be a great follower for you to be encouraged in your job search. Follow him on Twitter at CareerDudeTweet, and on Facebook. His Facebook page is simply Career Dude. So, Lenroy, that is just one of the tough parts about it, is that sometimes people do get totally hopeless. And so one of the things I love that we can do to encourage people And you and I have done that for each other before during our times of transitions as we've got a long-term friendship. It's just even a simple text. Hey, especially in the mornings when, you get up and you don't have a full-time position to go to, and just a text saying, hey, was thinking about you, said a prayer for you this morning. Hang in there. Keep the faith. Just something as simple as a 15, 20-second tweet can really help somebody when they're going through a job loss, can it?
Absolutely. Not only that, you want to find a routine. Those friends that text may call you. They may be far and few between, but take advantage and treasure the ones that do. You can focus on who's not calling you, who's not texting you. Literally, that will only add to your current situation. What you want to do is look for the good. The opportunities that are in front of you now are vast. Before you had one position, you were focused, you were doing that job, but now look at the opportunities that are out there and seek a routine that's going to be healthy for you. I know for me, no matter where I was, if this occurred, I'm looking for a place that I can go that's not too loud but not too quiet. And they typically were coffee shops, and they weren't just your name brand. They were the mom and pop ones that I could go in, and I got to know the crowd there, and it was a great networking opportunity for me. But that routine to find some peace and quiet that works for you, it may be outdoors for you, or maybe it's a little bit noisier. Libraries also make a great place to go to do the types of research that you're going to need to do. So I think that those are just a few things that comes to mind immediately, Greg, when you ask the question.
Well, I think you hit on a great point to get out of your apartment, your house, your townhouse, wherever your whatever your living accommodation situation is, to get out, to take a shower like you're going to work. Because the fact of the matter is, when you're looking for a full-time job, it's like a full-time job in itself, isn't it, Lenroy?
Absolutely. And I don't think you have to go to and clocking in for 40 hours a week. However, there are going to be times that you will put in a lot of time. And as long as you're making progress and you're getting some results, and the results I'm talking about are not always the job offer, but are you getting organized, and do you feel good about you have 5 silent leads. And some individuals will say, 5, I need a job, so I'm going to go for 25 a day. But you may end up not being qualified for the 25 that you applied. There are websites now, Indeed, Monster, and the list goes on, that individuals go on and they're just applying for position after position after position. And you may feel good that you've applied, but if you're applying to positions blindly, that's not healthy because you're going to get rejections. I wrote an article dealing with rejection, and rejection is something that will happen no matter what, but you can reduce it if you organize yourself and you do research, assess the current situation that you're in, take an inventory of the process that you're undergoing now. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself. Are you applying for jobs for which you meet or exceed the qualifications? Because if not, you're going to get rejected. And again, that's a negative. Have you effectively utilized your professional networking opportunities with your friends and families and people that you've worked with in the past, that will connect you to employment opportunities? Have you overly, invested or underinvested your time in the job search? So how are you spending your time? That's a big question. So you could be talking all day about everything other than the job search itself. That's counterproductive unless you've decided to take a day off, which is allowed. What are you going to do differently to increase your success? So there's an old adage that says, if I do what I've done and I'm expecting something differently, that there's a problem that I have with myself. So you want to make sure that you're constantly assessing yourself. And to me, organizing and being, research oriented to understand what's out there is really, really, really important.
We talked about the faith component, and we're obviously a faith-based program. And, I think Scripture can really become real during this time. I know it did for me, and I know Romans 8:28 has been kind of a life verse that has helped me through some really tough times that says all things work together for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Psalm 28:7, the Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in you, Lord, and I am helped. And I know for me at least, when I was in a season of transition a couple different times in my life, I'm 53, so it's going to happen with people. But as I put even one of these scriptures, Psalm 28:7, that I just shared on a Post-it note, I put it in my bathroom mirror, I put it in the dashboard of my car, I put it inside my wallet, because a lot of this going through a job loss, it's as much mental as anything, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's very mental, but I think the thing that's your anchor, and I love the fact that you cited Romans 8:28, because it's not saying that I know, it's not saying that you know, but it's saying, and we know that all things work for good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. So it's letting us know that we're in this thing together, and we're stronger together, and it's someone else that has gone through it, so we can cling to someone else and lean on them. I have individuals, and you do the same thing, Greg, that I reach out to, and a lot of times they'll say, well, no one's called me but you. Well, you got one lifeline. You only need one. It's we together, and then we can have prayer, encouragement, because the key thing is getting through. Continue to get help. And the other thing is let people know that you've lost your job. To me, that's something you should be doing. That can be, you can stay in the negative, or you can pull it over to be constructive and say, hey, I'm doing, better than I did yesterday, and I'm going to do better tomorrow. But the key thing is ask people for help. Let people know, because a lot of times they don't know, because we don't change our LinkedIn status to show that we're no longer working there. I know that individuals that's been unemployed from a major university for 5, 6, maybe almost 7 years. And his job status and his LinkedIn account is the same. So he's stuck in that place. We got to pull up that anchor and grab the anchor, and that anchor is Jesus, and be able to allow the Holy Spirit to really minister to our, the need that we have to be healed. So I'm excited that we're able to have this conversation today, Greg. And again, thank you for having me on.
Well, absolutely, Lenroy. You've lived it, I have, and so we want to encourage people that there is life after job loss. And I've done everything from college basketball coaching to being a territory sales manager for Hershey Chocolate. Was an entrepreneur, owned a supermarket, and got devastated by a flood. Then God led me into full-time ministry. So, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to save this for tomorrow's program. But what are some of the positives? But Romans 8:28 really does work out if we trust that. And, one of the things I've been amazed by, Lenroy, and you just shared it, but to make it even simpler for people, I think people really do want to help. And so everybody no matter what conversation is, when they ask how you're doing, just be honest. Just say, well, I'm doing well, but unfortunately I lost my job, and do you know of any openings? And I think people really do want to help, but as you said, we've got to let them know. So it could be just as simple as that with phone conversation, or, I know a lot of people, I have pride, a lot of men struggle with, or just posting on Facebook and letting people know that, hey, my position's been eliminated. I'm looking for a job, because the good news is it only takes one job, right? Absolutely.
One offer. You don't need to go into an interview and get one offer to be able to be bounced back into the situation that you're in. And this is the way I look at it. It's simply this. There are hundreds of jobs you can apply for. But if you apply for 10 that you meet the qualifications for, chances are you're going to get an interview, and the interview gets jobs at the end of the day. Well, unfortunately, our time's up today, but I hope you'll stay with us. Lenroy's been kind enough to say he'll stay with us for another day and another program, so I hope that you'll tune in tomorrow. And if you know anybody that's lost a job recently, make sure you let them know. This is our second program. All they've got to do to hear the podcast is go to our website, hopeishere.today. That's hopeishere.today. I'm Greg Horn. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be with Lenroy Jones again, the career dude, on Hope is Here.
CMI is your full-service human resources provider in Central Kentucky. For 15 years, CMI Human Resources has taken great pride in helping organizations and people work. Whether it's employee handbooks or help in filling a position, no job is too large or too small for CMI. Contact the professionals today at CMI Human Resources, 859-296-2800, or online at cmiconsulting.com.